What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Apologies for being late, but YouTube is doing, I don't know what YouTube is doing, but I'm not even sure if I'm live. So if anyone can confirm I'm live, that's fantastic. But YouTube is moving extremely slow for some reason, and I cannot get everything up and running. So it is what it is. I will start talking, and then you guys will let me know if I'm live and if you can hear me, because it's been a mess to get this one up and running. Anyways, it's a call-in show, so you can call in as always. Link for that in the chat. You can just click it, and I will bring you onto the stream as always, and you can have your say, and you can speak on the club and on the topics we're going to discuss. But we're going to talk about selling is key. And funnily enough, the moment I started the stream a couple of minutes ago, there is a source. I need to look it up because I don't want to misquote it. The keeper is saying it's on Vlahović. Let me see who it was. Excuse me. It was Loic Tanji. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but apparently, and you need to read the article. Al Hilal want a striker. They are gonna reopen talks with Osimhen, but also with Vlahović, apparently. And if those two options do not, if those options are not possible, they will move on to Aubameyang and El Naziri, I think it was. So it's not Vlahović that they want mainly. It's Osimhen they want, but they got rejected by Osimhen twice. So they will kick it off again, those talks, and see where it goes. But apparently they have Vlahović on that list as well, being Al Hilal, which is what selling is key. That's kind of the title of the show. So it fits into what I want to talk about as well, because it's the second week of July. Tomorrow, Tuesday, it's the second week of July, and our window hasn't really kicked off. Yes, you signed Jonathan David, but I think everybody, or me, I'm going to speak for myself, I have a feeling that it can pop off at any moment, at any given time, but it also feels like it's just blocked. It's a weird feeling, because we hear about potential players leaving and potential sales and etc. But there's no real talks. There's no real offers for these players, and that makes it extremely difficult. And the players who have offers, Vlahović, for example, are not jumping of joy to leave this club for obvious reasons right now, because they have big contracts, and other players are just, even if they don't have big contracts, it's cool. At Juve, you get paid. The expectations are extremely low at this moment in time with this club, and apparently you can get away with it as well. So it's not easy to move out a lot of these players, but it needs to happen, and it needs to happen ASAP, because at the end of the day, we need quality in this team, and we need to get quality. It's good. You can bring in certain players, that's fine, but if a lot of the players we do not rate, or just in general are not good enough, are going to be here, they're going to play games by default because of injuries, because of a lot of games, and those are the players you're going to use. That is, for me, the biggest fear, that even though we bring in players, or do not bring in players, excuse me, the players who can stay here or will stay here are going to have an impact on how good or how bad of a season we are going to have coming up. Excuse me, let me bring this one up. So that's what we're going to talk about on this stream. Let me my only hope is that 26 World Cup, so it's Susan interest to resolve that. If he didn't leave, bench him. I know the financial impact, but I would rather lose money than terminate his contract. I mean, you cannot terminate his contract, because the money we lose, I made a video on that. It's not peanuts. Like, it's ridiculous. He has 20 million left on the books, and his wages are more than like, it's gonna cost us, I don't know, between 30 and 40 million euros on the books. It's ridiculous. Like, we cannot terminate his contract, not because of principles, because of finances. It's a disaster for this club. So that can definitely not happen. Hello, Clay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're on the stream, so people can hear you as well. I think. Yeah, you're on the stream. Um, I'm gonna ask you the first question because I picked McKennie picture by default because he is in talks for a or like he's not in talks for a contract right now. The contract stopped. So in general, how important is it that we start moving out these players like ASAP? You know, in the next couple of weeks, that we start telling players you got to leave, like find the club.
I do think on the market these days we do not possess big enough purchasing power like that's to buy on top and buy without selling rather. So players like McKennie, considering the salary is rumored, I think he was said to be asking for 3.5 a year, if I'm not wrong.
Something
I
like
think
that. That's a report.
around that price range. So yeah, and for a player like McKennie, I get the fact people would be might be angry about his sale because um, McKennie is a utility player and play across the field. Of course, he comes up with his stretches where he plays 5 to 6 good games, and the rest of the season nothing to show for it. So selling McKennie for me will be a very good idea for me, especially if we can reinvest the money in other positions. So I have no concern selling McKennie. I feel if he's on 3.5 a year, we should move him out. We should move him out. I think
I mean,
that's a very smart thing to do.
he's a player like on McKennie. People think I hate McKennie. I don't like. Again, I don't hate a single. I hate the group of players. They're dislikable, but I hate McKennie. I do not hate Gatti. I don't hate Kelly. I just don't rate these players. Like that's a different thing. You know, when people say
And,
crazy stuff like McKennie helped us to get top four down the stretch, that's a lie. Like he was getting benched down the stretch because he was costing us. You know, like the thing is McKennie could McKennie be a good squad player? Yes, if we had the 2015 team or something, I would agree. But right now, with the team we have, he plays a lot of games. And when he plays, it's just not good enough. And he's not the only one. But the point I always bring up is he's up for a contract, so you can make a decision right now. Keep players who do not make a difference even longer at the club or move them on. When people say, what about coal miners and Gonzalez? And I'm like, fine, get me an offer for these players and we can talk. That's one. Or are they out of contract almost and you can move them on? Fine. That's not the case with any of those players. You know, I also do not like when people say certain players need to be moved out before them. That applies when we talk about top players. If it comes to these type of players, you cannot, be difficult about it. If you want to move out a player who's slightly worse than McKennie, but he has no offers, what are you going to do? Keep both of them or just move on one and live with the fact that you're going to keep the slightly worse player because he has no offer? I don't get it, It's clear that certain players are not good enough, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one. But when he's asking for a pay raise and for money for his agent, and that's actually coming from good sources, I cannot live with that. It's not my money. I get it. But at the end of the day, we're gonna miss out on other players because the club is spending their money wrongly. Like it is what it is. We've seen it at the Club World Cup. The level is insane. When players like McKennie came on the pitch, it got worse. Like it actually got worse, by the way. It didn't get better, it didn't improve, it got worse. So I don't know what people want to see more from these players before they finally can say, you know what? Only a handful of players are actually good enough. And other than that, they can all be moved out. And if you have the opportunity to move them out, you move them out and you improve. It's as simple as that to me.
And the thing with football right now is I'm very sure fans that start watching football like 2021 people will be making this kind of statement because if you watch Juventus during the dominant era, I don't think you would walk up and say McKennie is what to keep, especially at those wages and the money his agents are asking for. So if we could
Yeah.
move him out, and personally for me, if I was being asked between McKennie and Douglas Luiz who to keep, I feel Douglas Luiz has more to provide if he could just stay fit a bit. So move McKennie, get a player that can improve the squad, and probably something like that. But McKennie, no. Because
Yeah.
McKennie is a very predictable player. He goes into the next season, has a stretch of 10 games where he's being called the best, most reliable player of the season. Then enjoys himself a bit, then goes back to the McKennie we all know. So we can't keep up to that. I mean, the season is not played with 10 games. We have lots of games to come, so we need quality throughout the stretch of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what it is? Even if you say keep him as a backup, we know how the situation is the club. He's going to play way too many games.
Yeah, he's going
And
to.
it's going to show
Yeah.
that the quality compared to the teams we're facing is not good enough. It's going to cost us. And it's not only McKennie, by the way. It's a lot of players. If tomorrow I wake up and somebody has an offer for Nico Gonzalez, I'm like, fine, take him. I like quote miners, but if a decent offer comes in, I'm like, yeah, you had a full season and it's all over the place, and I don't see it getting better. And I like certain players at this club, but at the end of the day, I care about the club. I don't care about players. And like I've said it many times, when I buy a jersey, and it's not happening a lot, I do not put a name on the back of it because uh, somebody in the chat and the comments said, "Man, the last 3 jerseys I bought all flopped." You have Vlahović. That's why I do not do it. At the end of the day, I've seen the last 5, 6 years at the club, and it's more often than not that these players are not good enough. Like, being it their own fault or the players' fault as well. If you give McKennie more money and more years, I know what conversation we're gonna have 2, 3 years down the line. I know which conversation we're gonna have. I'm
And
convinced about that.
people fail to have in mind going into the season, the kind of coaches Tudor is up against. I really think if at all he doesn't have like the technical know-how to coach the team, at least a quality squad. At least that's the bare minimum. Just give me a squad where at the end of season he has no chance to say, oh, okay, it's because the squad wasn't this, wasn't that. So keeping McKennie, I don't think it really helps his case. I don't think it really helps his case because right now on the pecking order, I'm scared of Napoli, Inter, and Milan. I'm really not looking forward into the season with anything great, and especially Milan. I think we should watch out for Allegri. Something keeps telling me he's going to have a great season with Milan.
And yeah, I mean, he has 1 game a week as well, so he has a lot of time. Like, he had 1 game a week with us one season. That didn't really turn out to be good, but he has 1 game a week. I get it, and
I know what it is. You know what it is. I really feel the AC Milan squad really fits his style of play with the counter press and counter attacking.
yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. The Milan one is a crazy one. I'm not even sure what they want to do in the window, because one day it's selling Leao, then it's keeping Leao. So you need to see with that. But in general, we play 38 games, 1 Copa game at least, 39. What is it? 8 Champions League games, I think it is, right? In the group stage,
Yeah,
uh,
it completely, it completely.
8. So you play 47
Yeah,
games, 100% confirmed, and then if you make it out of the group, next round of the Coppa Italia, it can be it can be a lot. More. McKennie or like squad players. Let me rephrase it. Squad players are gonna play quite a lot of games. Now, my thing is, if the starting 11 is better in every single position, bring in like bringing 1 or 2 squad players within those 90 minutes into the team, it will have less of an impact if you, let's say, already have squad players in the 11 starting, period, and you add just more squad players throughout the 90 minutes. The level is just going to, we've done that. We've seen it the last couple of years. The Club World Cup, I don't care that we played a full season. I'm watching other teams. I'm watching PSG play at the same high level, you know, and they play more games than us. So I don't want to hear that excuse of oh, but McKennie played 38 games. He started so many games. Of course, he's going to be rubbish at the Club World Cup. No, he's been that all season. Ever since he joined us, he had good periods, and then it dropped off completely. How many times are we going to do this over and over and over again? before we can finally say as a club, you know what, this ain't it. This is just not it. And that just not goes for him. Excuse me. That goes for a lot of players in this team. The difference is some of these players only got a couple of months, a season to do this. McKennie, for example, had multiple seasons to do it. I don't care that he works hard. I do not care. Like when people say he works hard, that's the bare minimum. Like it's not something to brag about or to say, you know what, fantastic, that player works hard. When people say he works hard, means you're talking about a player with very low quality. That's it. If you tell me Dybala works hard, I'm like, fine. But before you told me Dybala works hard, you probably told me 10 minutes about his qualities on the ball and off the ball and all those things. And you just add to it, you know what? Actually, he works hard. But when it comes to players like McKennie and others, it's like, boom, he works hard. And I'm like, what about the rest? What are just other qualities that are so valuable to the team that you cannot move out these players? I will never get. I will just never get. I lost my friend. So, Eddie, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good. People can hear you. Wait, let me put up your mic. My apology. Let me put up your mic. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I'm not sure if people can hear you, by the way, because it's a bit far away. I can hear. Anyways, I will ask you the question because I think it's the first time you called in.
Yeah,
Maybe it is. So I hope people can hear you. What do you think about the situation? Oh, it's clear perfectly. What do you think about the situation about selling? Do you think it's hindering the club at this moment in time, not selling players?
Yeah, I believe it did the same thing last year because if you look at what happened last year, we had a lot of players who were on the exit list. And what happened was a lot of them, like, the McKennies of the worlds, and they didn't want to leave. And what happened was we wound up selling youth players to fund our whole mercato. We had to get rid of Ravello. We had to get rid of Poison. So that's the first thing is to get rid of all the dead weight. The people like the Kellys, the Louises. Unfortunately, we have to give coat miners another shot because we'll take a huge loss. We'll never recoup the money we spent for him, so we have to hope he turns it around. But other than that, we need Nico's gone. We need who else? And then we also can't sell a player like Mbangwa for only $20 million when he has such more possibility. We keep making this mistake, underselling young talent. We undersold Ravello. We obviously didn't get enough for Fagioli the way he played this season. We're probably going to do the same again with Moretti and undersell him. When another good season of youth development, we could get a lot more for him. And who else did we sell last year? We sold another player. I'm trying to figure the other young player we sold who's worth a lot more now. Sole. That's the one I'm thinking of. We sold too much young talent. We don't know how to build it. You look at a team like Atalanta, they hold on to players a year or two longer until they build up the value. And now you look at this Bellardi situation. Yeah, sure, he has value now, but Marseille, they have a good business model. They want to keep the guy because they know if he performs one more year, they can maybe get another 20, 30 million out of him. That's the way these teams do business. We have to do business a lot more better instead of underselling our own talent and overspending on mediocre players. We had it. If you would have told someone 2 years ago that once the whole sanctions were all lifted and we only had Way as our one purchase, that we were going to spend $200 million on transfers last season, would you have expected the type of quality that we got with the players we bought? Absolutely not.
No, I agree. And actually, on the selling part, we are bad at selling. Like, no matter who's in charge, is it Paratici, is it Cherubini, is it Giuntoli, is it now Comoli? It feels like we're bad in selling. And today, today, I realized that even more because I've seen Mariweke being linked to Chelsea for 50, 60 million pounds. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. 50, 60 million pounds for a player like Madueke, and then we are selling Mbangula for 8 million to Nottingham, or we were trying to sell Mbangula for about 8 million to Nottingham Forest. I'm like, that's criminal. Like, at that point, I agree with you. It's better to keep these players around and move out other players. I do agree with that point. Now some certain players, like especially young players, that I think that's more of the issue. But when it comes to players like a McKennie, or like you said, a Colt Miners, you're gonna need to take what you're gonna get, because you said certain players keep him and you can get another 20, 30 million for him. I agree. But when it comes to players like McKennie and Colt Miners, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna need to take what you're gonna get. Otherwise, you're just gonna renew their contracts just because, well, the offers were not good enough. But at the end of the day, your squad is not good enough. So which is worse? Taking a bit less money or having a bad squad? When it comes to players like you said, young potential, I do agree. Like, we undervalue so many players, and it's so clear. Even we talk about the Premier League, even look at at La Liga, the way they sell players. I'm like, they're getting way more for their players than we are for some odd reason, and I do not get it. People, hit the like button because we only have 27 likes. But Eddie, I want to ask you another question quickly, and I will read out the chats in a minute, people. The selling part, obviously, we were talking about that before I went live. The Vlahović news thing came out, and you needed to read the article because it's a big difference than all the tweets going out, because it's saying that Al Hilal have open talks again with Osimhen, but also with Vlahović, and if they miss out on them, they move for Aubameyang and El Naziri. So apparently they have Vlahović on the list and have open talks with Vlahović to see, if a possible move is on the board. Now, let's say Osimhen is like, no, you can give me 1,000 million. I'm not joining you guys because I want to play in Europe, whatever. Do you think Vlahović will accept an offer from Al Hilal, being it 50, 20 million euros a season? Or do you think he's just, no, I'm going to see out my contract and I'm going to leave on a free, or I want to still play in Europe? What is, because right now, I think nobody has a clue what Vlahović really wants to do. They can all say he wants to leave on a free, but right now, I don't think anyone has a clue, to be honest.
Well, let's look at it. Look at the history 2 years ago. He declined Arsenal, and that's a big call. So why would he want to go there?
Money? I don't know.
But
because
I'm
people are
sure
saying
Arsenal,
money is the issue.
I'm pretty sure Arsenal offered him the same contract he had with us, and probably even more money.
I think, right, like he chose us because he wanted to stay in Italy, and I mean, he valued us more. But right now, the situation kind of changed. Doesn't he? Does he really? Do you think he really believes he can play for? When I say a top club, like Milan is a top club name, but like a club in contention for things. Do you think he believes that right now, that he will get an offer from one of those clubs?
Yeah, I do believe that, and it's the same situation with McKennie. He thinks not playing on a top 4 team in one of the top 4 leagues is beneath him. We already seen him reject Aston Villa, last season.
No, yeah, he did. I actually forgot about that. I'm not gonna. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ali. It was nice calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, ciao.
I want to pick up on that last point Eddie made, because he said he declined Aston Villa, excuse me. And actually that makes, now I'm thinking about it, it does make sense, because I can see why a player wants to be hanging around at a club like Juve, being paid a lot and playing quite significant amount of games, than, going to maybe a lesser club in name and do the same, because I don't think he will be a starter at Aston Villa as well. So maybe that is his thought process, and actually you cannot really blame him, to be honest. What will you do with Miretti and Atsic? Atsic loan out, and well, if the midfield is what it is, Miretti cannot stay because he's not going to play. So loan him out again as well, but I'm not sure if he wants to do that. Maybe he wants a permanent sale at this point as well. McKennie's compared to Parouin. People forget that Parouin had no issue sitting on the bench and having low salary, which was fair. Now we're so poor that McKennie thinks he's prime Zidane. Well, is that thinks he is, to be honest. Yeah, we're worse on selling, but we buy on the far high, we sell on the pennies. Yeah, It's actually ridiculous. I think Cambiaso must get back to the right side ASAP. That's his position. Him and Costa alternating, get a proper left wing back in, even if it's hard. It is hard. Actually, I think Cambiaso found. I think Tudor found Cambiaso's position, and the way he played in preseason, that's where Cambiaso is going to play all season. I think it's 25, and we're still talking about McKennie. Something tells me with this regime, we might be talking about him in 27. I agree. I think Vlahović has too big of an ego to go to a non-top team. I mean, right now, that's what the media is telling us. And I mean, it feels like that, but man, pick up the signs, I would say. Like the club signed Jonathan. Actually, Jonathan David didn't get a number on his jersey, right? Or did I miss that? Like, no number has been confirmed for Jonathan David. So that's a not one as well. Usually you get those leaks. So maybe it is about Vlahović. But like, read the room. You know, it's clear that the club wants to move. And even you guys, like being him, surely you want to play and you want to be at a team or a club where they value you and believe in you and see you as a potential number one. Right now, it's clear the club doesn't view, like, forget about the club. Tudor, the guy who said you're better than Osimhen, doesn't view you as a number one and actually agree with the club that Osimhen can be a number one. You know, that's the that's the insane part, I would say. The funny part, the yeah, maybe from the outside funny part, but like, it's clear that you're not the number one and you're not going to play a lot of games next season. So why are you, I get you want to make the best decision, you know, you don't want to jump on the first offer you're going to get, but I don't think you're going to get much better offers than joining Milan and play for Allegri at this moment in time when it comes to European teams, if I'm being completely honest. And leaving on a free to join Inter, I don't believe those rumors as well. Those one are odd. Those one are really odd. Milan is considered a top team in name. They are, but the last couple of seasons, like us, maybe a bit worse as well. Even though they won a league more recently, I think. Yeah, they're not really viewed as a top team, even though they also played a semifinal of the Champions League, I think 2 or 3 seasons ago. So I mean, it's not about the top team. It's just, if you go to Milan, you're gonna play. You're just gonna play because of Allegri and because of the situation as well up front. Because Jimenez is not performing, and I think even though he said he wants to stay, I think if an offer comes in, Milan will accept that offer for Jimenez as well. So I don't really see what Vlahović is waiting for right now. Now let's see if those Al Hilal things, you know, have some feed to it. They will always push for Osimhen, but Osimhen said no to, was it 30 million euros? So how much are they going to offer Osimhen at this point to make him, you know, rethink his decision? Take from him the number 9, throw him out the team 1 season before the World Cup, and we'll see next year which big clubs will sign him with. Yeah, I mean, but if we throw him out, we're not going to sign a replacement. So it's not going to happen. If Vlahović is like, I'm going to stay, and the club cannot move him out, the club will play him because they cannot sign another player, and they're just going to need him by default because of injuries and things like that. So it's a very tricky situation. The club needs to convince Vlahović that he needs to get a move on. Let me do this and keep hitting the like button, people, because you only have 30 likes. That's not good enough. Let's hope Osimhen shuts down Al Hilal again and splash crazy money on Vlahović. I don't even need them to spend crazy money on Vlahović. I just need them to convince Vlahović, or just make it clear that maybe it's like, the club wants to even move me out to, I don't know, Al Hilal. At this point, I'm like, he might be like, okay, I just need to move because I'm not going to play. This is a very bad situation just for any footballer, and especially a footballer who's that young and had so much potential, and maybe he can revive his career. Who knows? You know, it's not going to happen with us. Why would you be sitting there? Like, I'm talking from my perspective. I'm just looking at from my point of view, and I'm like, if I were Vlahović, I want to play. Like, even if that's for Milan, I just want to play. Why would I play for a club that doesn't want me here? That's not playing me. Tudor's not playing me. Why would I want to stay? Like, even the fans are turning against me at this point. Why do I want to stay and play for this club? I don't. Excuse me. I don't get that situation. I don't get that thought process. If I'm being completely honest, I just don't see it. I cannot understand his thought process at this moment in time. I really don't. Anyways, let's move up from that type of talk, and let's move on to Jadon Sancho. Again, you might say, actually, again, I haven't spoken about him since, I think, Friday. But Nico Schira came out with a tweet. He came out with a tweet, and he said, let me bring it up really quickly. I need to save something. Okay, here we go. So Mirko Di Natale said new talks with Jadon Sancho at the start of this week, between tomorrow and Tuesday, I think it was. So in a couple of hours, it's Monday or Tuesday. But Nico Schira tweeted out a minute ago, or 45 minutes ago, that he's getting closer to Juve, positive talks, and expected direct negotiations this week to try to reach a deal. Now, again, this one is a very strange one, because if you need to believe Nico Schira, if you need to believe Giovanni Albanese, Mirko Di Natale, etc., a deal is very close for Jadon Sancho. Now, if you listen to Fabrizio Romano and Matteo Moretto, it feels like it's miles away from getting done, because according to the others, the wages are not that big of an issue for the club. It's not that far between demand and offer. And if you listen to Romano, it feels like we're offering 1 million and he's asking for 10 million, basically. So I don't know what that situation is. And even today, the news came out that Tudor told the club, push on for Conceição and get Conceição over the line, because he convinced me. Very strange, because we haven't played football in about a week, and now he's convinced about Conceição. My point has not changed when it comes to Conceição. The club are trying to keep Conceição, but they're not willing to pay 40 million in total. The 10 we paid and 30 million again. That's a simple, like, the only thing is there's no updates on Conceição. The only updates coming out is Vlahović. Now that Jadon Sancho, damn it. It can flip. We can all wake up tomorrow and the club is like, screw Jadon Sancho. Here you go, Porto. 30 million for Conceição. It's done. It can change really quickly. But based on last week's reports, and even, the week before and the week before that, the club is not really in talks for Conceição, because there's no need. Porto are asking for 30 million euros, and maybe they will budge down to 28. So there are two issues. Is it it's 30 million euros that's the issue, or it's not the 30 million euros that's the issue, but it's the fact that Porto want 30 million euro now, and the club wants to pay 10 million now and 10 million the following season. Maybe it's the payment, that's the issue, rather than actually the 30 million euros for Conceição. Because other than that, I don't see a difference between paying 30 million euros for Jadon Sancho, forget about the profile, and 30 million euros for Conceição. Because if you can pay 30 million euros for Sancho, then you can pay 30 million euros for Conceição. Maybe the difference is that Man U are accepting 30 million euros over 2 summers or 3 summers, and Porto are not accepting that. That's the only thing, for me, that will make sense. Because if you listen to reports, Tudor's like, keep Conceição, then why are you in talks with Jadon Sancho? Just pay the money for Conceição, and the coach has a player he prefers to have. That's just how I'm looking at it. Hey, Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. People can hear you as well, by the way. So
awesome.
I was talking about Conceição and Jadon Sancho because it's both 30 million euros apparently, and Conceição's wage will be less, will be around 4, and Jadon Sancho's will be around 6ish, 7, what we are expecting. So what do you think is the issue? Is it because it's both 30 million euros. So why one and not the other? Why not just close the Conceição deal? Because, well, it's there. Like, Porto are begging us to close it.
The only thing I can think of is probably pride at this point. Maybe Juve expected a discount, and they're playing hardball with Porto for some reason. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't get where Sancho fits into Tudor's team, to be honest. So I don't really get the Sancho thing. The only way I see Juve getting Sancho is if it's in a swap for Douglas Luiz, just to get him off the books at this point. Because other than that, it doesn't make sense to me. So I have no idea what the problem is with Conceição. I don't get it. Player of his quality at 30 mil, it's going to be tough to find in this market. And I'd rather keep him, especially he's already been here for a year over Sancho, that's for sure. So I don't understand.
With that point, I actually agree. When people talk about he's been here a year, like if it's 30-30, Conceição has been here. Even me, who thinks he's way too inconsistent. Well, Jadon Sancho has been inconsistent for a couple of seasons. So, I mean, I cannot even debunk that argument because, well, it is what it is. Everybody, the entire world has seen it. That's why he's moved on from club to club, at this point as well, So I do agree with that point. But when it comes to where he fits in, I'm not so sure, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I need to agree with you on that one. I'm not really sure what the club is trying to do. But I mean, again, maybe they have something lined up we do not know. Maybe right now things make no sense, and at the end of the summer it all will make sense. I don't get it as well, because the Jadon Sancho one, it happened with Juntuli and Motta, and it's happening now with Comolli and Tudor. So people left and they still want Jadon Sancho. They still want him. And where he's going to play?
His best position would probably be where Yildiz plays now, but why would you invest the kind of money in Sancho if you have Yildiz there? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can ask 1,000 people, and I think a lot of those people were like, I'm not even sure. Even the people who like Jadon Sancho are because I had a chat with somebody in the comments who actually likes Jadon Sancho, but even he said, like, I'm not sure he's a player we should be looking at, right now. It's a tough one because I like Jadon Sancho, if I'm being completely honest, as a player. But yeah, this last couple of seasons have not been good, So it can flop massively. It can really flop massively. But I was thinking about it today because it feels like it's very close with Jadon Sancho. I'm like, I don't know, play David and Colomani apparently. If you don't get Osimhen, you probably fix the Colomani thing. Otherwise, you're in real trouble. I don't know, Yildiz behind him with Jadon Sancho or David, and you alternate. I don't get it. I agree with you as well. Like, that's not the biggest of need, especially if you're not signed Conceição. Then I'm like, okay, you're lacking something on the right hand side. But again, 3-4-2-1. I mean, where like Conceição plays there, but also does not play in that position. What I've seen from Tudor during the Club World Cup, that's what he's going to do. The position of Cambiasso, like that's I think set in stone. That is what he's going to do, period. If you play like that, whoever is going to play in the Conceição role or in the Yildiz role, whatever, they're going to need to work extremely hard for 90 minutes. And that's where I also have an issue with Jadon Sancho. I don't think he's that type of... I don't blame a player for not being like that, because certain players are just not those type of players. Not everyone can be a Mandzukic. It's impossible, So I don't blame players if they're not hardworking to that degree, especially not attacking players. So is where I have my issue with Jadon Sancho as well. I'm like, somebody said he could be Yildiz backup. That's an expensive backup.
Yeah, that's the point I was making, yeah.
On paper, yeah, but it's very expensive.
Yeah, no. I'd rather keep Mangula. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depth is good, but I'd rather fix the starting 11 first. That's just how I'm looking at it. What's your opinion on Fratesi rumors? I've not seen it. So that's a good thing that I've not seen it, I think. That's a good thing. I would rather invest money in the defense and maybe one in mid, but we also like depth on the bench. I like the back line that needs to kick off ASAP this week. I need some news. Like I'm desperate for news on defenders, like real news on defenders. I'm actually desperate. Sancho has healed his back up. If they're getting Lookman, then if they're getting Lookman, then it will be Lookman, Yildiz, and David with Sancho and Conceição as backup. Nico has to be sold for that. Yeah, I mean that's what you said. The Douglas Luiz swap. That's what I was gonna say. Because Douglas Luiz is on his way out, and there are like reports out of England, not the best of the best, but still, some reports that Man U are open to take on Douglas Luiz in a deal for Jadon Sancho. I want to clearly put out there, it cannot be a like-for-like swap. I don't care. If they want Douglas Luiz, you're going to need to pay more than what we're going to pay for Jadon Sancho. That's just how I'm looking at it. Like, we cannot hand them Douglas Luiz for 25, 30 million. It just cannot happen. I don't care the season he's had. I've seen what English teams are paying for certain players. You need to get more money than 25 million, 30 million out of Douglas Luiz, in my opinion. I don't know how you're thinking about it. Maybe you're like, just get him out. But I don't think even that's fair. Get him out, Douglas Luiz. Like, just throw him to the curbs. He's not, like, he has value. So, let's see. That's an interesting. Do you trust the club to get money out of Douglas Luiz?
No, not at all. I think it's more, I'm not the one that really wants him out. I think that the club does. That's what it's pointing to at this point, and especially Tudor. So, Man U might be the only team where you could squeeze money out of Douglas Luiz, but I mean, I think other clubs are looking at Luiz and thinking Juve is desperate to get this guy out. So maybe there's a advantage for us as purchasers right now. So it's a weird situation.
Do you think
Douglas Luiz thing?
If the club tells Douglas Luiz you can stay, do you think he wants to stay? Because I have a feeling he actually doesn't want to leave.
No,
really?
I don't think he wants to stay. I mean, not if Tudor's there. I think he might see the writing on the wall at this point.
No, okay. Let me rephrase the question. Tudor's like, you're gonna be part of the first team because we move on McKennie, whatever. You're gonna play games, like you're gonna be part of it. Do you think he wants to stay?
Not without assurances, I don't think.
But if you move out McKennie, for example, well, it's kind of default. Like, we don't have a lot of midfielders, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I don't see him breaking into the team in a 3-4-2-1 with Locatelli and Thuram. Unless Douglas Luiz wants to play second fiddle, it's going to be hard for him to break into that midfield pairing, I think.
But like, I agree. But then again, that means we're not going to sign a midfielder because whoever we're going to sign is going to think the same thing. And if Locatelli or Thuram goes down, we're back to playing McKennie or in very inconsistent Cope Miners. Like, that for me is the issue.
Yeah, Cope Miners is another issue. Oh gosh, what a disaster.
Did I ask?
I forgot about Cope Miners.
Now we talk about Cope Miners because I've never spoken, or like I brought it up once during a live. I don't know if anyone recalls the interview we did where he said, I don't care where the coach plays me, number 10, more up front. I'm always going to think like a midfielder because I'm a midfielder. When he said that, I'm like, oof. Like, that's something you probably should be keeping behind closed doors because now you're you're telling everyone, if Tudor plays me behind the strikers or a bit up the field, don't look weird at me because I'm a midfielder. So you cannot, like, that's how it came across. I'm like, you cannot say that. Like, you can tell Tudor that, but not the fans, not the media, because right now that will come back to bite you in the you know what. Even though it's not fair to play you out of position and expecting you to put in the same performances, but you have been played in position and you've played poorly as well. That's why I'm like, you cannot say these things out loud. You can't. It makes it worse.
It's not surprising. Our players have been talking out of school more and more frequently over the last few years, seasons. and they put the club and the player themselves and the coaches in bad positions. It's been happening more often. So I'm not surprised by Blue Miner's comments, to be honest.
And that like.
Seems like there's a lot of bitterness in that dressing room, whether it's to the club or to Mota or to Tudor or to other players or the way the club's been run. A lot of bitterness.
That's when we miss leaders, because if you had leaders in the team, I think these players will realize a lot of the bitterness needs to come because of like it stems down from themselves. Like it starts with themselves. Like,
of course.
You can blame a lot of things, but man, Nico Gonzalez, for example, he's been running the ball out of play for the last 10 games. It's not Tudor. That's you. Like that's just you. Like even against Real Madrid when he came on, he just ran the ball out of play. I'm like, are you for real? Like, is this for real? Because there's no pressure. It's just you, or not controlling a ball and all. Like that's you. That's not Tudor. It's not the fans. It's not the wind. That's not the sun. That's not the heat. That's just you.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I've always been saying. Somebody, and we need real leaders in that locker room. When I watched Thiago Silva, I don't know if you watched that speech and all those things on social media. Maybe anyone needs to look that up. I'm like, that is a real leader because he also is quality. You can give that speech, players will follow you because they know on the field they can count on you 1000%. We don't have that throughout the squad at all. And that's an issue. That's why these players can give interviews the way they want, speak the way they want, and just get away with it every single time. And it's frustrating, but we kind of need to live with it at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's problem is it looks like the leadership is going to have to come from within rather than going out looking for it, and that's going to be really difficult at this point. So
it's going like we're going to struggle. We are going to struggle big time. We're going to struggle big time. And even like it's not that Jonathan David is like leadership, it's hard to buy because like when you buy leadership, it's probably towards the back end of their careers, because real leaders, they don't leave their current club. If you just look at it, real leaders, they don't leave because they're embedded in the first team, they're part of the team and whatever. They don't usually leave the club. When they leave, they're probably at a certain age, and that's not the situation we're in right now. So it's going to be tough. Bremer probably will be that, but yeah, I mean, I wish I can say Bremer can stay fit, for the first couple of months of the season, but like Rodri just came back and the other day he went out because he already was struggling against Hilal and he felt something and they took him off. I mean, even they cannot rely on the Rodri one. This is what happens when you bring in incompetent people to run a big club like Juve. Who do you think our attacking options will be at the end of the Mercato? I have no clue, Raffaello. I cannot even make a guess because I think my guess is going to be completely way off. I'm assuming it's going to be Colomani, David, Yildiz, Jadon Sancho. That's my feeling right now. Okay, Anthony, last question. If you can still hear me, because I can see you laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can. No.
Yeah.
If I need to tell you, Monday is about 20 minutes away over here in Europe. So even for Komoli, it's 20 minutes away. What do you want to hear? What should be the main news coming out this week? And I'm not even talking about names, but what areas or whatever, what should be the main talk coming out of the club to the media this week? What's something that's so important that you're like, I need to hear that to feel a bit at ease?
Well, I'm not so sure if what we hear from the actual club will even be trustworthy anyways, but I want to hear in the news about us getting a defender or very close to getting a defender or two, basically, because that's really what we need badly. I haven't seen any strong links with decent defenders or any defenders really. So, I mean, the Sancho links, they're just nagging. They're just niggling. They won't go away, and I'm really not up on Sancho, to be honest, for this team as it's built right now. So, I don't know. I'd like to hear news on defenders. And
I think I lost Anthony. But I agree. I agree. It needs to be defenders coming out of the club this week. Like tomorrow tomorrow in about 6 hours time when I wake up again and I open Tutto Sport and Gazzetta dello Sport and Corriere dello Sport before I just leave for work, I need to see something on a defender, and it needs to be not done deal type of news, but like it needs to be news to say, you know what, that's something I can work with. That's something I can believe. Because right now, like waking up tomorrow and reading news on Jadon Sancho again and Conceição or Colomani and all those things is all good and well. But I need to see some real links. I need to see some talks about a defender very, very soon. Because the more time is passing, the more I'm like, we're just going to play with Kelly all season. That's the feeling. We're keeping Rugani at the club, because the club thinks he can do a job. Those things can just not happen at all. It just cannot be the case, because then you enter a situation where you're just banking your hopes, like I said, on Bremer being fit and Cabal, because apparently Tudor envisions Cabal in his first 11. All good and well, but when is Cabal going to be ready? September, October? No setbacks, needs to be fit 100%. You cannot envision a team based on a player who's not even going to be fit for the next 2 to 3 months. That's crazy. On top of that, you never really use them in this team. That makes no sense. That's fantasy. Hoping a player does well, believing on paper a player will do well, and just trusting it will translate onto the field 100%. That could just not be the case. I think we will buy Leone. Seems very difficult right now, because the interview we gave was to Gazzetta dello Sport. I'm not sure, but he gave an interview. He said, my plan is to stay at Parma for one more season because here I can develop. I feel well. The city is fantastic and all those things, even though the city is a bit just went there. Not much to do, but still, I don't think he wants to leave as well. And even if we buy him, I don't think we're going to bring him in ASAP. It will probably be, we will loan you out for another season to Parma, most likely. So I wouldn't bank my hopes on that one, if I'm being completely honest. On the Leone one, I don't think that's something we're really looking into at this moment in time. I wish, but yeah. How about Miguel Gutierrez? Talks kind of died down, no? Talks kind of died. He's on the list, but I'm looking more at center backs. Thoughts on Laporte? I will take him. I know he's 31, but on a good wage. I mean, we just need to improve, and the bare minimum we'll do at this moment in time. If we get rid of other players who are just not good enough. So I would take him, but again, that's more of a link. Laporte. Like, I wish I could be like, yeah, we're gonna get Laporte. The sources are good, but the sources are not really all that good, and it doesn't feel like it's something we're actually really looking into at this moment in time. But again, it can change, But right now, I don't have a feeling that the Laporte one is a real possibility. Keep smashing the like button, people, because I'm not gonna go on for much longer. I think. There's also Gatti and Kalulu. How do you see our defense line next season? Starters and backups. Well, yeah, right now they're starters. So, like, I cannot envision anything because I don't know. But right now, both of them are starters. Do you think the Bissouma links are true? No, and I hope they're not true at all. Extremely inconsistent player. Not sure who came up with that link, but I hope they're wrong. Even though I'm not a Tudor fan, he took over at the most inappropriate time if he wants to succeed. It's not easy, I would agree, but I mean, I'm not going to feel sorry for him. Like, the situation is a situation. You knew what you were walking into, so I mean, you're getting paid for it as well. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I don't. If you came in in a top team and we were selling everyone this summer, I'm like, oh my God, I feel for you. But you walked into a situation believing that you can turn it around. Now turn it around. Like, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. But it's not an easy period for any coach to come in. Like, I'm not going to disagree with that. I 100% agree with that, to be honest. I think Rodri recovery got rushed, but with Bremer, was very caution. That's good. That is good because Chiesa got burned by rushing him. Yeah, Chiesa had a lot of setbacks, but even when Chiesa was in training and he was back before he even played, I think he had a setback as well. But the Rodri one, yeah, he came off against Al Hilal because he kind of felt something. But that's normal. Like, Bremer is going to have that as well. He's not going to be able to play full 90 minutes game 10 games in a row at the start of the season. He just can't. It will be impossible. And that's my point where I'm like, we need quality, because if you miss Bremer for 4 games at the start of the season and you lose about 8 points or 6 points because of that, then yeah, you're ready, catching up for whatever, top 4, the Scudetto, I don't know. But you're already catching up just because because the backup is Rugani, for example. Or it's Kelly. I don't know. Like, that cannot happen. Tudor lacks technical ability. Tactical ability, I think you mean? I think you mean tactical ability. Seeing what happened to Musiala, I'm glad that didn't happen to Julius, because that would have been tragic. Yeah, that injury looked absolutely brutal. Looks excellent. Hope he recovers, but that did. Bremer better be the Bremer of all our recruit. Yeah. Did you say Scudetto? I said whatever people believe in. Scudetto, top 4 race, whatever. That's up to you guys to decide. I will make my prediction at the end or at the start of September. That's when I will make my prediction. But right now, yeah, we're not fighting for the title. I think that's very obvious. Do you think there's a chance we will get rid of Kelly this summer? Well, there's always a chance or hope, but right now there's no offer. One day it's like the club wants to move him out. The other day it's like, actually, Tudor likes him. So I think if a decent offer comes in, the club will accept it. But yeah, where's that decent offer coming from? With one good left center back and a good midfielder, we're in a race for Scudetto. There you go. Somebody talked about Scudetto, not me. Bremer is not a winger. So I feel like a center back or a striker or a DM area, the ones lucky, or a goalkeeper are the luckiest post ACL. I'm not so sure about a DM, but I can see your point, because wingers, yeah, they, especially Chiesa, like the way he lives off his acceleration, like stop, go again. I mean, it is tricky. Like, it really is tricky. So maybe you're right, but DM, I'm not so sure about that. That's a tough position to play, actually. You need to cover quite a lot of ground. We need at least 3 solid defenders to improve on our defense. Laporte with Bremer would be good. Hansko, not bad. Also, imagine Conceição will post ACL. Yeah, hopefully he never gets an ACL. Knock on wood, but my God, that will be that will be bad. We're gonna fight with Roma for the 3rd spot. For the first 2 are the same as last season, unless Chivu is totally inept. Will our banter ever end? It will end at one point. It will end. Giuntoli totally wasted 150 million euros last year. Imagine what could have been bought for that amount of money. We will never know. Since I'm ready to leave, I like... What? I don't get it. Put it in again. So yeah, that's that. I was waiting if any news really came in, but it's a Sunday. I mean, people do not work on Sunday. No real news coming out. Again, we're all expecting something to come out this week. I'm just hoping even anything, even if it's just there's interest, in a defender, but it's coming from a good source. I think I can live with that for a week, but I need to have something when it comes to defenders for this week. It just needs to happen. The Jadon Sancho one is cool, I guess. The Colomani, is Colomani saying something? Somebody's asking. Who knows? Like, actually nobody knows at this moment in time. It's all cool and fun and games, but what about that back line? What about that back line? That's just the biggest question from now until we actually fix that back line. That's it. That's it. So yeah, I don't know if Colomani is staying. It's all up in the air right now. It's all up in the air. It depends. It depends. I think the club's really looking if they can sign Osimhen, and if so, they will probably not get Colomani. But if you need to know ASAP, because otherwise you're also going to lose out on Colomani, and you cannot keep Vlahović. It's impossible. And obviously the Milik one is, I cannot believe Milik is still at the club. It's on the books, but like that can also not be an option as well. So Juntili actually balanced our account. Maybe, but because of the transfers he did, it will be unbalanced very soon. Unless the club is like, we're signing nobody and we're just going to make it work with them. It will be unbalanced very soon again. So is it a win? I don't see it as a win, to be honest. Laporta's a must. He is left-footed. Yeah, and the caller who's waiting, I'm sorry. I thought it was YouTube that I had an issue, but it's StreamYard that's doing something crazy. So I cannot bring you in for some reason. My apologies for that. It's StreamYard. It says that I need to restart, but if I restart, I'm going to lose this one. So it's going to be for the next one, for the next time. I'm really sorry. Let me... Yeah, it will be for the next time. Apologies for that one. How lucky is Conte? This looks like a one-horse race. Yeah, I mean, he deserved it. He made it happen. So I need to... Yeah, you cannot really be petty about it. Like, he made it work. He won it, and now he's sitting there again. So it is what it is. Laporte costs only 10 million, 31 years old. He's a good option. Yeah, I'm not so sure about the 30 million price. But I think he's a decent option depending on the wages, obviously. That's key. Why do we still haven't replaced Juntili? As Komoli? I don't. He's taking his time. He told us he doesn't want to rush it, so that's it. Do you think it's possible to get Victor Osimhen? I think he is. It's possible, but it's not easy. What about the sporting director? I don't know. Apparently, he wants to get it wrapped up before the last week of July, but at this point, it's already too late. So even if he comes in, it's not going to change anything for this summer. So, and I don't really blame Komoli for it because he got brought in very late. So I don't blame him for being late with his sporting director because he's going to need to make a fair assessment and a choice that is not rushed. So I get it. You only can blame the club for the situation. So, but it's too late. It's too late. Can he play center back, Komoli? I don't know. He can. He said that he did the president, he did the scouting, he did the sporting director, he did technical director. So maybe he actually can play center back because he can do a lot. Unpopular opinion: both Thuram and Locatelli are not good enough. Well, that's very unpopular. So you're right about that, Frenzy. What do you mean about not good enough? Not good enough for what? Because I've seen Napoli win with some horrid players. So I'm not... What do you mean we're not good enough to win the Serie A or be a top club? Because I think Thuram is good enough. I think Locatelli is good enough to win. I don't think those two players are the biggest issue at this club right now. I don't. Maybe if everything around Locatelli or so gets much better, you can say, okay, actually he is a problem. But right now, I don't think that's an issue, to be honest. Napoli, Juve, Anguissa destroyed Thuram. Yeah, but Thuram also destroyed other midfielders, better midfielders, in other games as well. So again, I'm like, if you're gonna look at game by game and you're gonna isolate games, then yeah, I'm like, if you do that, Kvara is not good enough because Savona had him on lock. He had Leao on lock. He had all these players on lock. So we cannot say actually they're not good enough because they couldn't beat Savona. Like, I don't think that's a fair assessment. Do you mean overall as a midfield duo, to win the league? Maybe, but I don't think. I think they're good enough to win a league. It's just what we surrounded them with, especially that back line. It's not good enough, and probably also the coaching has not been good enough. So, Thuram jumped like crazy since you've assigned him. Thuram would do wonders where Conte would explode. We're losing that F. It is what it is. Thuram with Conte would be Anguissa 2.0, but a big upgrade. I don't think Thuram is an issue. I think actually I like Thuram, and he has been improving every single. He's still not the finished article because there are moments in games where he needs to calm down a little bit, but the improvement he has shown, I can only assume he's going to improve even more. That's an assumption, and if so, then I don't see how he's an issue. I think he will be more than good enough to be a starter even at a top Juve, in my opinion. So don't see the issue with that one, if I'm being completely honest. I think that the players around them, those are the issues. But I mean, we shouldn't be talking about Thuram when we are starting, I don't know, Kelly, Savona, Kalulu, and Gatti at the back. I mean, let's be real. Like, that should be the talking point, and then we can, wonder what we should be doing with that midfield. I'm just talking about his faster development. Oh, I knew what you were saying. Another unpopular opinion: Yildiz is good for only 55 minutes. I disagree with that one as well. Even though I see what you're trying to say, but I disagree with that one. It depends on where he's going to play. But I actually see your point because of the Real Madrid game. But even that, it depends on where he plays and what the team is doing and the type of game. Is he, you know what it is when we talk about Yildiz, somebody told me, oh, but Lamine Yamal does it for 90 minutes. You shouldn't be comparing it. Like, Lamine Yamal is probably the best player on the planet, or top 3. Yildiz is not, and that's okay. But certain comparisons cannot be made, in my opinion. Does he need to be more consistent throughout 90 minutes and throughout the season? Yes, and I'm expecting him to be that this season. This was his full first season as a starter. I expect a jump, as he probably expects as well, as a Klopp, everyone. If you're attacking 90 minutes, that's how the Italian teams do it. If we can surround Thuram with great players, their midfielders will be unstoppable. That midfield will be unstoppable. I agree with that one. I don't think Thuram is an issue, to be honest. Anyways, people, I'm going to wrap this one up. If Yildiz is carrying the team for 60 minutes, of course, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. If Yildiz needs to do so much, at one point it's going to stop. If everything needs to come from Yildiz, every attacking phase, every exciting moment, at one point it's going to be overkill, and others are going to need to chip in. That's why I have an issue with a player like Conceição. Is extremely inconsistent. He can actually not show up for 90 minutes, and it's like a normal day at the office at times. And then he can show up for 90 minutes. That for me is the issue. There needs to be more consistency throughout the team. And if then Yildiz only can show up for 50 minutes, we can have a conversation. But right now, we're all looking up to him to do it from minute 1 to minute 90. It's impossible. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You need to be an insane player to make that happen, in my opinion. Look at Liverpool, for example. It came from Firmino. It came from Salah. It came from Mane, excuse me. Now it's Luis Diaz. Like, it comes from multiple players. It's not only Salah, because if it was only Salah, he was not the Salah we all thought he was going to. Are seeing right now. Excuse me. It comes from multiple players. You cannot bank your hopes on one player, which is going to fail if that's the case. Yildiz is very young. He's talented and has room for improvement. Yildiz better be prepared to do that, though. He's going to have hard to carry. Yeah, he's going to need to be decisive, but we need help. We just need help. That's why Klopp signed other names to carry the team as a team, not individually. Yeah, that's it. But actually, that's normal. It's a team sport. Like with 11 players, you cannot bank your hopes on one to do it for 90 minutes. You can do it for a couple of games, but at one point, it's just going to be done. Anyways, people, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you haven't like, subscribe. As always, I might do a live show again tomorrow. If not Tuesday, 100%. But a daily news show will be out. As always, thanks for watching. Stay safe. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.